Me gusta! Hello and welcome to Minecraft Complete Model Guide episode 4, and today I'll be teaching you how to declare a basic item. So this is just an item, normal, doesn't do anything special, it's just an item from which you could sort of progress to making more complex items like a teleporter or a grenade or something. And not only will I be showing that, this will be an extra long episode because I'll be talking to you about inventory names, adding recipes, etc., which will be the same pretty much for blocks except for one extra thing. So that's why I'm going to be explaining that to you now, and I will also be explaining to you about the texture arrangement of items and blocks. So first, obviously, I've created a package by right-clicking source appear, new package, and I've called it MCMG4. Then I've created a class inside it called tutorial.java, which is going to be my base class. I've set this up as a base class with package at the top, @mod, @network mod, the @event handler, which you should have learnt from my second episode, that's right. And yeah, I've given all this stuff, and for here I haven't put use metadata, I've given it name and version, so I don't need any mcmod.info file or anything. And for the imports, you have the 4 ones from that video about base classes, but then you need some more. You need import cpw.mods.fml.common.registry and then .game registry semicolon, all case sensitive. So I'd say look at this now or download the file in the description and you'll have all the code there. The second one will be that, but take off game registry and put language registry. And then the next thing will be import net.minecraft.item.star semicolon, and what star means, it means it imports everything from that package which we want. Well, we don't need that, but it's good to import everything, so you'd have to import individual classes. The only exception is like registries, where all this stuff's actually in the classes, it's not like classes, it's separate classes. Anyway, next thing is import net.minecraft.creativetab.creativetabs. That will come clear why you need that. And an optional is import net.minecraft.block.star semicolon. We actually won't need the block thing to make an item, but for the recipes I'll be showing you how we can use blocks or item recipes and items block recipes and vice versa and blah blah blah. So first we're going to declare the item, and you do that outside the public void load construction. You don't do it in there, you do it outside there, but inside the public class tutorial bit. And you put it at the top so you can see where they all are. And what you write firstly is public static final item with capital I, and then give your item decoration a name. So I'm going to put square or something, because that's going to be my item. It's going to be just a basic square. Now let me just quickly explain these things. Public means you can access this item from other classes, so if you wanted to, I don't know, use this item somewhere else, like this mob drops this, then obviously you can use it if it's public. Static means that in this actual class we can refer to square as just square. We don't need to put tutorial.square and have to say which class it is in. If we're already in that class, we can just put square. Final means you can't override any of the stuff we put in here. So by that I mean, when we declare this, we're going to put like an ID, a creative tab, a texture, etc. Or not etc. That's the other thing to give it. We can't change that from anywhere else except for in this actual line of declaration if it's final. Item means it's just a item. Obviously that's the name of the class that has all the basic item stuff in. And a square is the name of the decoration, sort of the variable of our item. After this we put a few things. First we put an equals, and then we put new, and then capital I for item, which basically further says this is an item, and that actually makes it an item. Then we put 2 brackets, and an item class only has one parameter needed in the brackets, and that's the ID. Now if we go into this class, we can see there's loads of items already declared. We can see the bottom one, item record, the last one here is 2011, so that's the highest ID. But you might realise between 2000 and 165 is a big gap. I'd say don't touch that gap, leave it for Minecraft, for Mojang, and just put your IDs bigger than 2011, no smaller than 2011. So put that to like 3000 to play it safe. Outside the brackets, you want to put dot set and then creative tab with a capital C on creative and a capital T on tab, brackets. And this is basically, you know, in Minecraft creative mode when you have tabs and stuff, it basically says what tab is this going to go into. What you put inside the brackets is first a class that has all the tabs in, which is creative tabs with a capital C and a capital T, and then you put dot, and this gives us a list of all the creative tabs declared in that class, and well, not that far down, up to tab transport, and you just want to choose one. So I want mine to be in the redstone thing for no reason, so we put tab redstone. Right, so after this method, we need to put another method called dot set unlocalized name, and if it appears here, you can just double click it and it automatically puts it in for you. It's a string in these brackets, so you put 2 speech marks, and what unlocalized name is basically, let's show you in the item class. You have all these items declared, and let's take iron shovel. This is an unlocalized name of shovel iron, and this is used to give it a good inventory name, but obviously we know it's not called shovel iron game, it's called an iron space shovel. And what this unlocalized feature does is looks at the language pack and turns this into the actual name. But obviously, because our item even is new, it's obviously not in the language pack. So this unlocalized name feature is going to be redundant, but that doesn't mean we leave it out, because if we leave it out, then the item won't work, because this basically also initializes the item at the same time. So we give it any name, but it won't actually be of any use to us. So just call it square, I'd say. But if it's quite a complex name, I'd slow it down. So if it was called super duper awesome square, I'd call it square 1 or something, just to make it simple. Now this last method I'm going to put in this decoration, it's got a weird name, and that's because all of these names started out as that kind of name, but they've been changed by MCP to be something we can understand. For this thing, we need it to give this item a texture, but it's such a weird name because MCP hasn't got around changing the name of it, and I have to copy and paste it because I just can't remember it. It's dot funk underscore, and then it'll be 111206 underscore D, all lowercase if there's letters, and basically you put brackets, it's a string, so again 2 speech marks, and what this is the name of our texture. Now what's happened with 1.6 is that all the textures are inside one main directory. You can't have your own, you can't have modloader.add override and then give your own directory of your textures. They all have to be in this one location, whether they're modded items or not. You can't do anything about that. So yeah, and what you need to, except for doing some complex code, but you don't really need all that complex code, you can just live with it, to be fair, because I will explain this in a future tutorial, but when you pack your mod, obviously it's not going to be part of the main Minecraft file, it's going to be its own little zip or jar archive, and you put in a mod file, so it doesn't matter where it is, to be fair. But if you do, basically it goes in this directory called assets, Minecraft, textures, and then items for items or blocks for blocks. I'll be talking about that in a sec. And basically, because all the textures got there, there's going to be hundreds there, you want to give this name quite a unique texture name. So this is going to be the name of the texture, all case sensitive, word for word, letter for letter, number for number, sign for sign even, without the .png. So you don't put .png in here, you just give it its name. And I don't know, because it's a square, because this is what I usually do. I first start off with the name of the mod, so MCMG4, that's the mod. Then you put underscore, and then you give it a base name. So because the square is a shape, I'd call it a shape. Then you give it an underscore, and then give it a specific name. So it's a square, I call it square, and maybe put square 1, but I'll just put square for now. And that's basically, our texture is going to be called MCMG4 underscore shape underscore square .png, but we don't put .png here. So that's basically our item completely declared. Now it's time for the methods to turn that item into a proper item, and that goes inside the public void load constructor. And the first thing we're going to put in is adding the inventory name, and that uses language registry. So we put language registry dot, and there's going to be a list of things to put in. The other one we need is dot add name, and then object name. So what's the decoration that we're going to be changing the name of? It's square, and then name here you put a comma, and then you put 2 speech marks, and you put what the visible inventory name is, so all case sensitive. If there's spaces, and you put a space. So I'm going to call this a basic square 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I put that, but yeah, so that's going to be our inventory name for our item. And now the second thing we need to put in is a recipe. So there's the recipe of our item, and it's the same thing for blocks as well. So what you put here is game registry, so that's where game registry comes into this, dot, and you put add recipe, and again if it appears down here you can just double click it. And then there's a few things you'd put inside these brackets, or a lot of things even. You put new item stack first, an item stack with a capital I and capital S, 2 more brackets, and then you say what's the item we want to be created by this recipe. It's going to be this square, comma, how many do you want to be made, and also let's say 4's made per recipe transaction. Then you put another comma afterwards, and then you put new, and then a capital O, an object, 2 square brackets, and then you put a curly bracket. I know there's a lot of brackets and stuff, and just to make this code a bit more neat, we press enter, which will automatically put in that end curly bracket, and we put all the object stuff here. And now what we put here is basically the visual arrangement of the items using letters, and then afterwards we say what each letter represents. So a basic, let's say the whole graph table will be filled up. We put a speech mark and 3 X's, speech mark 3 X's after a comma, and then a comma again and 3 X's, and that's basically a comma again, and that's basically our whole crafting table filled up with X's. But our square, we just want it to be 2 by 2. Therefore, we would put 2 X's there, 2 X's there, and because we don't need the bottom line, what we do is we just completely take it out. So if you don't need a line, completely take it out. But then one thing you need to bear in mind when you're making recipes, if you wanted like, I don't know, like an X, you wanted like an X, let's say items X in the top left, an X in the bottom right, and to top right even, and then an X on the very center. What we'd have to do then is to put X and then space, a physical space and space bar to represent the space at the top. And then for this, we'd put a space at the start and a space at the end of the X for the second line, because we want it in the middle, nowhere else. But just to make things less complicated, we're just going to put 2 X's, 2 X's. And then what we do is we don't put speech marks, we put apostrophes, and then we say which letter we want to say what it is. So we say what X is, comma again, and then after the comma we put what X is. So X is going to be a block of dirt. So to have an item, you put item dot, and then I'll show you here. If you want an item, you put item dot, and a list of items already declared will be there. If you wanted to use a block, you put block dot, and a list of blocks there, and I want block dot dirt, and then that's why I had imported block. And obviously, if you wanted to use an item from here, so if you obviously this can be a bit weird. If I say I wasn't making it for I square, and I wanted to use square as my X, I just write square, obviously spelled correctly. Oh, there you go. I don't want that. I want block dot dirt. Now the great thing about this is that we can declare more than one item in the same class and declare more inventory names in the same constructor. That's a great thing about Forge and Minecraft in general. So you'd have to have loads of classes. So I've got a one I've pre-copied here, and I've called it item weird shape. I've given it ID of 3001, so that's one more than 3000, which was the last one. Same creator tab, but just to show you how this works, I'm going to give it a tab brewing or something, so it's a different tab. Set unlocalized name, give it weird shape. It's good to keep your unlocalized name as one line. Oh, not one line, sorry, no spaces, that's what I meant. And then the weird method is basically the texture. Again, I've used the same prefix as before, MCMG4. Underscore, it's a shape still, but it's not square, it's the weird shape, so I called it weird. And then, of course, I've got the language registry.add name for weird shape, our second item, and I've called it a weird shape. Now, with the recipe, there's game registry.add recipe, which is a physical recipe we need to show the shape arrangement of. But there's another type of recipe called dot add shapeless recipe. What a shapeless recipe is a recipe where you just type in, instead of typing in X's and stuff, you just write block.dirt, comma, block.dirt, comma, item.apple red. I'll show you about that in a sec. And that'll basically say that you need 2 blocks of dirt, because I've got block.dirt twice, and 1 apple in any arrangement in the crafting at all to make this item. That's what shapeless recipe is. So the output bit is still the same. You put new item stack brackets. You say what you want to output, which is going to be our weird shape, and what 1 made. And then the params, you still put new object, and you still put square brackets, you still put curly brackets, but instead of putting xxx blah blah, you just write the names of the items you want, items of blocks even, you want to use as in the recipe. And if you want more than one, you write that more than once. So like I said before, I wanted 2 blocks of dirt in any arrangement, so I put block.dirt, comma, block.dirt, comma, and then I wanted an red apple in the recipe as well, so I put item dot apple red. And that's basically it. So if I have these 3 items in any arrangement in the crafting table, a weird shape will be made. If I have 4 blocks of dirt in a 2x2 arrangement in the crafting table, then 4 square shapes will be made. So now I'm going to show you the textures, and basically it's a 16 by 16 pixels. If I go to image, wait, no, it is image. This has got image size. We've set the image size as 16 by 16 pixels, and we've just filled in. I've filled in with a light brown to dark brown gradient in the square, and for the weird shape I've just done a muddle of red. and I've saved them as their names as before, mcmg4 underscore shape underscore square and underscore shape underscore weird for the weird shape, and then I've saved them all as PNGs. And now I'm going to show you how to put these textures into the MCP workspace when you're in Clips to show how the arrangement will be in Minecraft. So if you look inside Minecraft anyway, so that is the wrong folder. If you look inside Minecraft.jar, which has changed in arrangement, but you should know that anyway, you can see that there's a folder called assets, a folder called Minecraft, a folder called textures, and then we've got one called items. All the item textures are here. So if you close that, go to the main directory of MCP, go to Eclipse, Minecraft, bin. That folder bin represents basically Minecraft.jar, or the jar file you've gone into. And then you want a folder called assets, folder called Minecraft, folder called textures, and a folder called items, and then put item textures there. And if you go back one step, go one step back, that's what I meant. If you create a folder here called blocks, all lowercase, that's where your block textures will go as well. So now I've come into Minecraft, so I'm going to test the items, and first I'm going to show you about the creative tab. So if you go to creative tab, redstone, we can see that our square, a basic square 123, its inventory name, is visible in our redstone tab. And if you go to brewing, you see that our weird shape is there as well. But now we're going to craft them, show the recipes work. First we're going to do the square, which was 4 dirt blocks in a square arrangement to make 4 squares. So if you do that, we can make square. The good thing about this, because it only uses that portion of the crafting table, we can do this anywhere where that will fit. So if we did it down here, it would work. If we did it up here, it would work, and so on. So that makes 4 basic squares, which again do nothing, they just are squares. But now we're going to make our weird shape, which remember with 2 dirt blocks and 1 apple in any arrangement. So we've put 2 dirt blocks like that, an apple down here, we've got a weird shape. So again, you can do in any arrangement as long as 2 dirt blocks and 1 apple are present. You can do in any arrangement at all. Yeah, and that makes 1 weird shape. So that shows that our mod works, and shows you about the inventory names, the text, and the recipes. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll have this code and the textures in the appropriate folders, folder names even, for download in the description below, and it'll be an add file link. So you just click it, wait 5 seconds, and it should say skip ad. Click that, and you can download it from Mediafire, which is a free download. If you didn't know what Mediafire was. But yeah, if you like this video, please like it. If you thought I could have done any better in explaining, because I didn't find out, I was quite stuttery and stuff, but I'll try and work on that for the next episodes, just to tell me which parts you wanted me to be less stuttery on, so I can work on that. And hopefully I'll see you guys next episode. Bye!